no one oil solves every problem. Just like no, if no prescription solves all problems, and they're made specifically for certain things. And prescriptive types of things that we deal with are very limited in their focus about what they work for, and they have wonderful benefits many times, but they also have some pretty big side effects most of the time. And then we have plants which have a big variety of uses. And so when we talk about this one, which is going to be the Melaleuca, we're going to talk a lot about what they might be used for. So I don't know if Mark, we talked about it being used for sunburns last week. And that was like, really? You can use it for that? And yeah, I use it for that. We're going to just go back a little bit historically on how it's used. So if you want to flip over to that.
Okay, yeah, and while we're getting over there, this was actually the first oil that I ever was introduced to. We had a friend who came over and was telling us about this Melaleuca oil, and I couldn't even pronounce the thing at first. And so, and he was telling us about all these different uses for it, and I was like, mellow what? But it was really quite remarkable. The things that he shared with us. So let's see, here we go.
Okay, we are so ready.
Okay.
And we're shared?
We're shared.
Okay. So how many ways can you use tea tree oil? And I think the bigger question would be, what specifically in the areas we're going to talk about tonight does it make sense for you to use them? Don't move it. I'm gonna pull this over here by me so that I can do the computer, because I don't want to move it yet. So the picture. So so here's the interesting thing about tea tree oil. It was used by Aborigines. If you don't know who that is, it's indigenous people in Australia for 1,000 years, at least 1,000 years before I don't know time, but for a long time. And then we had the penal colonies go down there with it became the penal colony for the British Empire. And when that happened, then suddenly all these, incredible rugby players came out with being able to use tea tree oil. I think it's pretty amazing what you can do with
they survived.
Yeah, they survived and just like became this strong. So the indigenous people, of course, would have shared how you would use these oils, and this is what we know about. And so all the things that I'm going to talk about tonight are ways that they have been used for centuries. So that's where we're going to go with it.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. Now I'm waiting for him to do it. Okay, so one of the things is any kind of blemishes. So when we have these kinds of things happen to our faces, one of the best things to do is an astringent, right? And so it does have that quality, it's having this astringent quality. So it helps reduce the inflammation and just the general, maybe the structure that's underneath the skin that's having some problems. And the interesting thing about it is the clear skin has Melaleuca in it that doTERRA recommends and uses, and it's part of the regimen that you can use it. It's because it helps clear up the skin. And last week I talked about how you can use it, for blisters.
Cold sores.
Cold sores. There we go. Cold sores. I can't remember the. Anyway, so those two. So that's another thing. All right. Next.
Not worm sores.
So another way, which we used to have a lot of problems with this in our home, and this is pretty cool. So you can put it in a spray bottle and you can spray it on your feet. You can spray it on the mats in your bathtub. You can scrub with it in the showers, and you can spray your shoes with it, and you can put cotton balls inside of your shoes. And one of the biggest problems is kind of like the moisture buildup. You'll notice some of these are fungal related that we're going to deal with. So anytime you have a fungal related problem, Melaleuca has had a historical use of helping reduce any kind of the reaction that the skin has to fungus.
I was just thinking yoga mats.
Oh yeah, spray your yoga mats.
We're doing yoga now on a regular basis.
Yeah, we are.
Maybe you spray those.
And so now we have this other situation, right? We've got maybe a blister or a boil, and I've never seen anybody look like that guy, and I feel really sorry for him, but that's really like over the top with whatever is going on for him. But we're going to just talk about one of those and not a multitude. I think he needs a lot more. I think he needs a lot more help. And you don't want to bathe in it because it's pretty strong stuff. But the whole point is you can use it in small, concentrated amounts in areas and help the skin do what it naturally does. And in the case of a boil, it helps shrink the liquid factor inside, as well as remove some of the inflammation. Another thing that you can stick on it is something like this, which also has melaleuca in it, which is the Correctex, right? We're going to talk about that a little bit.
So you want to shrink boils, you don't want them to burst, right?
Yeah. I don't want to, especially with anything like,
That's not good.
Yeah, that's really not good. If you can shrink it, it's mucho better.
Yeah.
So another way is to help clear out the lungs. So again, we're talking about kind of fungal properties that happen inside of the body. So it helps reduce that. So how would you do that? You're going to drink it or flush it into your lungs? No, but you can smell it, right? You can do that. You can smell it, and you can smell it at night. One of my favorite things to do is take a roller bottle. I have something that I call, because I've dealt with chronic fatigue in the past. Until I started using a lot of essential oils, I had a regularly occurring theme, and I could take the On Guard, not On Guard, but that one too, but the Melaleuca, and use the roller or just regular and just roll it on my right here, probably goes along, the lymph nodes, but it would just go inside of my throat. And I do that at night. In the morning, I would be relieved of that symptomatic experience that I was having with some kind of a soreness there. And that's the same thing you can do for the bronchial.
So it's diffusing something?
Yeah, you diffuse. Okay. You could put something nice to smell with it. You could put something like Citrus Bliss, or something citrusy with the Melaleuca, or maybe even you could mix it up with some peppermint and some Citrus Bliss. Just
that'd be great
to cover a little bit of because it's a very strong smell. So now another problem that a lot of people have is Candida. Now I dealt with that. A lot of people have. It was one of the things I dealt with while I was dealing with the chronic fatigue situation that I dealt with. But it can come up in lots of places, on your hands, on your elbows, on your scalp. And the nice thing is you can use this as part of your soap process. So you can use it for your shampoo. You can use it for your hands, for if you put it in different kinds of Castile soap, and you can use that to help with that as well. So if you'll notice, a lot of the things we're talking about are very limited. If you're going to intake, like if you've got something on the mouth, like a canker or something, you could stick it on that. But mostly we're dealing with the outside. We're dealing with the outside of the body and not inside. Another thing similar to this, but not the same, is if you've ever had like something like a pink eye come up or something, right? Well, we used to get them quite a lot. And also I get general swelling at night, and I'll wake up sometimes with my eyes. I used to wake up with them kind of like this in the morning. And I probably still do, but I don't think about it because I have these things. So I would take the Melaleuca and lavender and go around just on the bony ridge, because you never want to get close into the eye with these wonderful strong things. Go around the bony edge with just a few times. And then same thing with the lavender, and then just to stimulate the olfactories in the nose here. So there you go. That's what you do. And then bam, my eyes would just shoot open or help get rid of this allergic response or pink eye thingy. And these are just things that people have done for centuries, once again, okay? Another thing we talked about, the bronchial, here we are back with a cough. It can soothe coughing. And earaches, you can take a little cotton ball and just stick the cotton ball on the top. You don't want it dripping into the ear. I like to do it along the bony ridge here, the mandibular ridge behind the ear. And you have any kind of that, and you just kind of rock it in again like this, just smooth it in. Really helps with that. You know, we talk about infection, and we want to be really careful about what we say, because like I said, this isn't a panacea, but what it does is it helps disturb and reduce infection. All right. So, and I'm talking about what it's been used for characteristically over centuries. So you can take a spray bottle and you can stick it in a spray bottle, and for your bathroom, spray the surfaces in the bathroom. Really good idea, because that's going to be a really heavy place where infection would normally spread, right? Is in the bathroom. So, you know, another really good way to utilize that for the same thing for little babies is you can make baby wipes with it. And you can be really careful using aloe vera and a little bit of the Melaleuca and some lavender and put it all together. And then you can make your own baby wipes, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Done that before. And that helps with infection when you have babies have problems on their bums a lot of times when they're in those diapers all day long. Another thing, we talked about wounds. Here we are back to wounds. So Correctex, you can do that. You can stick it a little bit on that, and it really helps reduce the amount of, it helps the body's natural response to infection. So it helps to reduce that. And that's what you use that for.
I often, when I have a cut or a wound, I'll often put some Correctex right on the Band-Aid before I put it on.
Yeah.
And then it's there, and it's on top of it during the whole time that I have that bandage on. So
yes.
really
and
helps.
I like to let it air as much as I can when I'm putting something that's like this on.
Yeah.
But at night you got to cover it up, or it's all of your blankets, and that's all you get. So okay, here for what I did learn was that there is Melaleuca used in burn units for burns, for healing, which is really interesting. Along with lavender, which lavender has its own 100-200 year history now of why you want to use it, and the studies that have come out of that. So just to know that those are common things that have happened for even healing, probably more major burn experiences. Now I'm talking about this. I keep saying this so that you understand that this is what's been used for centuries. All right. I didn't just pick up this and say, hey, look at what happened. So just know that these are common ways that this has been used for many centuries to help with many problems in the body. So we've kind of gone the whole gamut, right? We've gone fungals, and that's infection. And then we've talked about we've talked about a little bit about viral. And the viral, again, you can use is because it's antiseptic kind of in nature. Then that helps with those kinds of things. And one of the nicest things about oils is because they can pass the barrier of the cells, they're more likely able to help take care of problems within cells themselves, which is awesome, and stimulate natural growth of good, healthy cells. So that was a short but really important overview of a lot of ways you can use it. And last week I said, so where does it come from? Well, the answer is the leaves. So it comes from the leaves. So whenever you think about it, realize it's very similar in nature to, like, not the pine turpentine oil, but the oil in the little leaves of the conifers. So here we have Melaleuca, or tea tree. And I hope that you, in that very brief overview, that you thought of some ways that maybe you could utilize it better for you in your home, in your cleaning, in just overall healthy practices for your body to improve natural health. Do you have any questions, Mark?
I was just wondering, do you normally use it right out of the bottle, or do you prefer the roller?
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, I did show this on purpose because I actually found that I like to use it in different ways. So with the clear skin, it comes in a roller,
Okay.
and that you put our little dabs where you need them on outbreaks.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like to use the roller when I do it on my throat. And the reason why I choose the roller isn't because I don't like the other one, but once they came out with the roller, I always had to put a carrier oil on because it's a hot oil, and it would actually, yeah, it would kind of make me break out a little bit on my throat once in a while when I did that, which is really normal if you're sensitive to oils. And so I learned to put that on first, and then it was all right. But around my eyes, I don't like to do the roller because you can't manage it as well. So I always put it on my hand. I work from my hand when I put it on my face.
Okay.
So you want to be really careful around your eyes.
Good. So here's a sensitive question. Sometimes we have fungal or other types of issues in sensitive areas on our bodies.
That's true.
Seems like this would be a good solution for that. But
It is.
what about a hot oil in a sensitive area?
Always consider a carrier oil.
Okay.
Always consider a carrier oil. What does that mean? That means a teaspoon of oil with about, you can do as many as up to 15 drops of other oil in it. Okay. But for little people, probably 1 or 2 drops in that. So you just depends upon who you're dealing with, right? Okay. And that the amount of the oil that you want in that situation for whatever. That's what I was talking about that's why I was talking about baby wipes.
Ah, got it.
That was exactly, because anybody can use a baby wipe.
Not just for babies. So you can baby yourself.
Big babies and small babies.
Okay.
So we hope you had something that you got from this that was meaningful, that was helpful to you, and we'll see you again next week.